Bring the wandering ones to Jesus. Verse 2. Who'll go and help this shepherd kind? Help him the wandering ones to find. Who'll bring the lost ones to the fold, where they'll be sheltered from the cold. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in from the fields of sin. Bring them in, bring them in, bring the wandering ones to Jesus. Verse number 3. Out in the desert, hear their cry. Out in the mountains, wild and high. Hark, 'tis the Master speaks to thee. Go find my sheep where'er they be. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in from the fields of sin. Bring them in, bring them in, bring the wandering ones to Jesus. All right. Can I have some, Brother Cliff, can you open this morning?
Father God, we thank you again, Lord, that we come together this morning to praise and worship you in song and preaching and hearing of the Word of God. And I just pray, Lord, that you bless us now, Lord, as we begin this Sunday morning, the Lord's Day, and worshiping you. So blessings and grace be upon us. In Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated. He says, amen. I say, amen. Some say, oh me. Amen. Good to have you with us. Today we'll be buttoning up. We're going to have, finishing up this morning, Brother Sexton will be doing Sunday school. He can preach, teach, whatever he wants. He can let it rip. Amen. Put the tonsils on the tongue and let her fly. But then Brother Fitzsimmons will be doing the morning service, and looking forward to that. It's been a great meeting, great preaching. I understand a lot of people came in and said, man, have been sick. And I know nobody's got the crud. They've just been going around. Good to have you here today. Today's missionary letter is from the Clay family to Molly. And he says, I've always had an internal debate whether I would be more comfortable living in the city or the country. And he said, I like how living in the city allows me to be closer to all the stores, restaurants, and work. I'm not a fan of long commutes, as living in the country often requires. However, I'm currently living in a city of 6 million people. Hey, welcome to the city. That means traffic jams are constant. Therefore, it was nice to escape the business of the city and see more of the countryside the past 2 months. So he's over there in Mali, and he said our first trip involved a trip west to the Cuthbertson's family in Sassandra, and the usual thing happened where you go minister, be a blessing, end up receiving a much bigger blessing. Amen. And he said it was a good encouragement to see what the Lord was doing there. The second trip, he said he had a privilege to work with missionary Christine McLaughlin and her Access medical team. The medical missions teams always help churches draw large crowds and give us an opportunity. So we had 1,196 patients, and 278 people said they made a decision to receive Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior. Amen. And, those situations, the gospel goes out. Amen. And my son was actually part of one of those situations in Papua New Guinea many years ago. But he said our third trip was the longest. We had the privilege of visiting our friend who is a national pastor in the city of Man. It was a blessing to meet his family and his church family. Amazing to see the different ministries he uses to reach each community. He said our final trip was in our own backyard. And this is a church plant in the village of Annan, which is just outside of Bingerville. And services started in June. It was an honor to preach there, as I will be doing again very soon. Please pray for this new church as the spiritual foundation is being laid. He said these last 2 months were filled with new ministry opportunities. The next 2 months, we have some exciting opportunities as well. First, we'll be hosting a conference for African missionaries from our mission board, BIMI. And then he says, please pray for a wonderful time of refreshment and fellowship and learning. He says, second, we'll be hosting a team from the medical missions outreach in October. So pray for that. Amen. And there'll be 40 people coming in to help and open a new village, Palm Afrakiu. I don't know if I probably blew that one, but up to the gospel. Please pray for the logistics and for this all to work out. And he thanks everybody for their support. And that's the Molly family. Amen. Pray for them. You know, I want to say it was their family. Was it their family? I say this. Some missionaries, they go to the field. How many people like American food? How many people would love to eat pickled pig's feet this week? How many people don't mind eating snake and who knows what? Yeah. Well, you know what? All kidding aside, that was one family we had to our house, and they're going to Africa. So my wife made real Mexican food because she said she likes Mexican food. And I realized that her idea of Mexican food was Taco Bell. And she looked at my wife's enchiladas and all this, the real McCoy out in front of them, and she just kind of played with it. You know, kids do that. They smear it thin on the plate and make it appear as if they devoured it. And I realized, you don't realize one of the challenges people have going to a foreign field is eating. Amen. One of those things. So pray for these missionaries. But that's the good family. They're doing a good work for the Lord in Mali. You pray for their adjustments when they go there. Amen. So the Clay family, good young couple, doing good work there in Mali. But pray for them as they're now settled in and doing a good work for the Lord over there. Amen. Well, why don't we do this? The teens are going to stay in here today. And next week I do have a special speaker coming in to speak with our teens. You're really going to, I believe Miss Sarah Glover is lined up. She said she would be here waiting for confirmation, but she said, yeah, I'll be there. So I think we're all set. But Sarah Glover will be speaking to our teens next weekend. I'm looking forward to that. But today we'll have a section in here, so everybody else can go to their classes. This is the teen class that's normally my class. You guys just stay in here today. And all the other kids can go to your classes. Amen. Everybody else, go to your respective classes. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking of? We don't have no jug up here. It messed me all up. I'll tell you what. Let's not do that today. Amen. We'll do this. We'll just go to our classes. These kids are looking at me like, come on. I'm sorry. Yeah. What's that? I think I think they've exited. I think we'll just call it good this morning. We'll give it to you. We'll make up for it next week. I didn't think about it. We don't have the jug here either. So we were talking a lot of business before the service, ironing a few things out. Some more money came in. The church gave generously to the missions this year, to the missionaries coming in this week. And more came in the last couple days, and we're ironing that out. But we're very thankful for the generous spirit of the people. And I know it'll go to good use. But at this time, Brother Sexton, you come on up and preach to us. Amen. After all that chaos and clear as mud, hey, you come on up and clear things up. By the way, we do have our faith promise cards. We'll be handing them out in the morning service. And again, I pray that you have already prayed about that. Amen. What to give. We'll be turning them out, and we'll be getting them in the next 2 weeks. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, brother.
Good morning. I'm thrilled to be able to be here this morning. If you would take your Bibles, turn to the book of Exodus. It's where we will begin this morning. Exodus chapter number 3. Tell you what, I'm so thankful for God's grace. I'm thankful for His goodness. And it doesn't take very long in talking with people around the country and different locations before you realize how blessed that we actually are. I'm so thrilled for God's goodness and what He does for us. And I want to kind of jump right in this morning. Pastor was talking about food and different things in different countries, and it was kind of comical to me. We were in South Africa, and a family we were staying with, actually a very well-to-do family in South Africa. Matter of fact, the mother grew up, they were next-door neighbors with Nelson Mandela. While we were there, she went over and talked with Nelson Mandela that day. But while we were talking, one of the things I thought was comical was that they like chocolate and they like peanut butter. The idea of mixing those two repulsed them. And I asked them, I said, have you ever eaten a Reese cup? And they said, no. I said, it wouldn't repulse you anymore if you ate a Reese cup. But it's funny, just different people, they do things differently, and one's not right and the other wrong. It's just different. But I'm thankful for what God's done. I love mission conferences. I wish we could have been here the entire time. God worked in my heart in a mission conference. 1987 is when God's worked in my heart, and I surrendered my life to whatever God wanted. The next year, as it turned, it was a mission conference where God called me to preach. And I love mission conferences. Somebody once said it is a business meeting of God's people to discuss the eternal fate of a world. And folks, I think if we could really get a grasp on the magnitude of that statement and that truth, I think it would probably change the way that we approach mission conferences. It is, this is not a game. Could I even say this? It's not even really, it's not an extra program added to the church. It literally is a core Bible principle and a Bible doctrine of trying to introduce to a world our God. And I've said this multiple times in various places. If our involvement with missions is determined upon our love for a world, it'll fail us. On a very literal sense, what I mean by that is this. We as human beings have a hard time. Well, let me ask you this question. How many of you know somebody that's hard to love? Now, that's people that we are acquainted with. How much harder is it for us to love somebody on the other side of the globe that we've never seen, we've never been introduced to, we've never even heard about, we'll probably never see on this side of glory? So if my involvement and being compelled to be involved with missions and reaching a world with the gospel is dictated by my love for them, it's going to fall short. My motivation to be involved with missions must be dictated by my love for my Lord. Because it's not, it is about reaching a world, don't get me wrong, but it's more about spreading the name of our God. Because our God is worthy to be praised by a world. So what I want to look at in Scripture this morning, we said this the other night, and I'm sure you've heard it throughout the week. God is still in the soul-saving business. There are people, billions, with a B, billions of people that have never heard one single time the glorious message of what Jesus did for them on Calvary. They've never been introduced to the real, true Son of God. Billions still waiting. God's desire is to see them accept Him as their Savior. That's His desire. Now, here's the catch. God uses people to introduce Himself to them. If the need is greater than it's ever been numerically, God's desire over on this side is just as strong and just as fervent to reach them with the message of what Jesus did for them on Calvary, to be praised by them. If that's just as strong and just as fervent, the need is greater. The problem is we have a whole bunch of us that are potential servants, that are content to do what we're doing with our interests being the number one drive and our motivation for why we live instead of His. What I want us to look at this morning, this is a very simple thought, but we see it all throughout Scripture. What I want to look at this morning are some of the excuses of all the things that could have been recorded in Scripture for us to know about. God saw fit to record some men's excuses of why they can't. And that's kind of what I want us to think about a little bit in Sunday school as we go through. These are familiar stories, I'm sure. Let's have a word of prayer, and then we will get into... Oh, thank you, Pastor. Okay. We'll have a word of prayer, and then we'll get into the Word of God. Dear my Father, we do thank You for this morning. God, again, I'm so thankful and humbled for the opportunity to come to Your house. God, even more so to open up this precious book. And God in heaven, please, we beseech You in Jesus' name that You would see fit to grace us this morning once again with your presence. God, that you would please, Holy Spirit of God, do what only you can do. And give us ears to hear. But God, open up our eyes. May we see clearly, more clearly than ever before, even scripturally, God, what you have for us here this morning. God, we'll thank you and praise you for what you're going to do. God, I ask that, God, you be well pleased with everything that's said and done, both in the preaching of the word, but God, also our response. Not this Sunday school, but in the worship service as well. And God, we'll thank you and we'll praise you for what you're going to do. God, you're certainly worthy. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I'm going to start in Exodus chapter number 3. This is a very familiar passage, I'm sure, to most of us. I'm probably just going to mention some of these as opposed to taking time and preach a lot of this. But just to get our mind thinking and to get it going a certain direction. But look with me, if you would, Exodus chapter number 3. We know this. God is working in a man by the name of Moses' heart. God has a work that he wants to be done. He is going to use Moses to accomplish a part of that task. He's going to use him in the work that he has to be done. But it says, look with me if you would, Exodus chapter number 3. Look at verse number 7. It says this, "And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto a place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites." So he's saying, Moses, I hear my people. I hear their cries. I'm aware of their need. My work is I want to send them a solution to meet this need. I'm going to use you as a messenger to do that, Moses. And we find here Moses' response, and this is just what I want to mention and go on. But before we get to his response, look at what he says in verse 9. He says this is God speaking. He says, "Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is coming to me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them." Then verse 10 says, "Come, now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." Let me just, a few simple thoughts about verse 10 just for a second. The very first thing that you see God saying is God had a desire to do a work. Amen. He heard the cries and was aware of the need of the people that he was desiring to influence their life. Amen. And there was a tugging. Yeah. And he's trying to get Moses to see. And he says, so the very first thing is come. Yeah. He's saying, come. We need you to see this, Moses. We need you to hear their cries. We need you to be involved. I want to make a difference in their life. Come. There's an opportunity that God presented him with. The next thing in verse number 10 is when should he come? When should he get involved? When should he be responsive to God's direction? When should he say, "Yes, Lord, I will go"? When? Very next word of verse 10 says now. Right. Amen. See, the time that you see here. Yes, there's a tugging. God's saying, "Moses, I need you. Moses, I want to use you. Moses, I'm giving you an opportunity to serve like you've never seen before. Moses, this is it. I need you to come." It generates an involvement and generates a response. Could I say this? Moses is just coming from, he's at the burning bush. Moses is just coming from seeing God like he had never seen him before. Friend, can I tell you this? When God shows us something, when God reveals himself to us, when God allows us to have knowledge of the truths of the Word of God, he does not give that to us just for us to sit and soak and ponder on. That is supposed to motivate a response in us. And when God makes himself real, his invitation is come. We're supposed to do something with it. If God stirred in your heart, there's a reason for it. If God has given you truth, there's a reason for it. If God has brought you through something, there's a reason for it. That when God's activity in our life is there to generate a tugging, to generate a response. And He's saying, come. He says, Moses, come. This is the time right now. Then He says, now. When should He respond? Right now. There's no time like the present, Moses. There's people in need right now, Moses. The people crying in anguish right now, Moses. People that are enslaved right now, Moses. The work that I have to be accomplished, the urgency is right now. You need to get involved right now. Don't put it off. Then he says this, the next word is very telling. Come now, therefore. Why the urgency? Because God is real. He's saying, come because of what you've just seen, because of what you've just experienced, because of what I've just introduced you to, you need to respond to that need right now. There is a God that is matchless. It is indescribable. There is nothing that can compare on this earth or any other place that can compare to our God. And He deserves to be praised. He deserves to be magnified. He deserves to be preached. Where? Everywhere. When? Right now. Because our God is so great. That should compel us to have a desire to introduce Him to everybody that needs to be introduced to Him. Well, who is that? That's the world. Come now, therefore. That's how it starts. But then it gets real personal. Can I tell you this? I'm amazed as I read the Word of God how relevant this book is. And how current it is. Because I listened to what Moses' response was, and can I tell you this? Shamefully, I can identify times in my lives where I've used every one of them. Look at what he says. Verse number 11. Here's Moses' response. Notice this. He did not question God's ability, who He was. He did not question the urgent need. Look at what he does. Verse number 11. And Moses said unto God, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh? Then he goes on. What his first response was, God, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to be used in your service. I'm not worthy to be your messenger. God, I'm not worthy. Can I tell you this? One of the most effective tools Satan will use in your life and mine is to throw our past up in our face. The past that Jesus saved us from. The past that is washed away as far as the east is from the west, never to be brought up again. And He will bring those things up into our face and make us think, God, I can't. Not me, God. I'm not worthy. I know I need to witness to that person. God, I know I'm not worthy. That was his first response. I'm not worthy. Notice God's response to that. Verse number 12, he says, and He said, certainly I will be with thee. God's saying that there's no doubt, Moses. I know exactly who you are. Yeah. But just as much as I know who you are, I know who I am. He says, certainly I will be with thee. He says, I'll give you my presence, Moses. Then he says this, verse number 13. Another response, he says, and Moses said unto God, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, who is he? Or what is his name? What shall I say unto them? Basically what he's saying is, God, I don't have enough information. God, I don't know enough. God, I don't have enough Bible knowledge. I don't have enough knowledge about you to be your messenger. God, I don't. His response, down through 14 through 18, God tells Moses, He says, Moses, you don't have to worry about that, son. I'll give you exactly the words to say. Amen. I'll give you exactly what to say. Chapter 4, verse number 1, we see another response. It says that Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. Saying they won't believe me, God. God, I'm not worthy. God, I don't have enough knowledge. God, they're not going to believe me if I do go. I have no credibility. And God's response as you read down through there, God's saying, believe me, I'm going to do a work where your message will become believable. And He's going to provide everything that's necessary to make that message believable. And that's, again, I'm not going to preach all of these. I just want to mention these and move forward. He's saying they won't believe my message, and God says, believe me, when you preach the message that I give you, I'm going to provide the power that you need. I'm going to provide the power. Paul says this, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the what? Power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth. The Jew first and also to the Greek. See, God will make God will make the work believable. That's His working. Look at the next thing, verse 10, chapter 4. Another excuse Moses throws up. He says, and Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I'm not eloquent. We know this. He says, God, I'm not you want me to speak, and I'm not a fluent speaker. God, the abilities that I have aren't enough for this task. God, I'm not equipped. God, I'm not capable of doing the work that you're calling me to. And God reassures him and goes down through. He says, Moses, I created you. I created your tongue. I know exactly who you are. I know exactly what abilities you have. I know exactly your strengths. I know your weaknesses. I created it all, Moses. Could I say this? Every excuse that we could possibly muster, none of them are going to take God by surprise. God is desiring to do a work. The Holy Spirit of God has tugged at your heartstrings about an area of involvement. And He's tugged at your heartstrings. Can I tell you this, friend? God knew exactly the need before He tugged at your heart. God knew your circumstances before He tugged at your heart. God knew everything that was going on about you before He tugged at your heart. And He tugged at your heart anyway. And He offered the opportunity for you to be involved and obedient anyway. That's what He's trying to get Moses to understand. He said, Moses, you can't come up with a good enough excuse to exclude you from this task. I knew them all before I called you, and you're the one that I want. Moses' final response here, verse 13 of chapter 4. Unfortunately, I am thoroughly convinced this is the response of many, many Christians. He says this, verse 13, and he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. He says, God, just send somebody else. Notice at this point, he wasn't questioning God's ability. He wasn't questioning God's ability to use him. He wasn't questioning God's ability to give him a palatable, believable message. He wasn't questioning God's ability to help him overcome things. He was just saying, God, I'm not willing. God, send somebody else. I made a statement the other night. Honestly, I've said it in multiple churches, and it's amazing some of the faces that I get. The concept, and I don't know where it started or when it started, but friend, can I tell you this? In the work of God, the concept of either you give or you go that has become so common and so familiar and so easy to say, can I tell you, that's a damnable doctrine. Because that is not the option, give or go. Our option is obedience. All of us are supposed to be involved. All of us can't do the same thing. But all of us are supposed to be involved. All of us can give something. We can either give financially. Can I tell you this? The most productive, the most eternity-altering, the most effective gift that you could possibly involve yourself with is effective prayer. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man, what does God say? Availeth much. We can all give something. So the concept of give or go is a damnable doctrine. How do we know that? Because Jesus says, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. All of us are supposed to be a witness. All of us are supposed to tell somebody. Now, the extent and the distance in which you and I may go, that may vary. Because that is up to where God sends us. But all of us are supposed to be going outside of ourselves to minister to somebody. Why? Because everything God shows us, everything He reveals to us, everything He teaches us, is not supposed to stop with me. It's supposed to be given to somebody else. Why? Because they need to know our God the way that we have been introduced to it. All of us are supposed to be involved. Moses at this stage is saying, God, just send somebody else. Look in Luke chapter 14. I just mentioned these. This is another familiar thing. Luke chapter 14. Luke chapter 14. Look at verse 16. Jesus is giving illustrations about the kingdom of heaven in this text. But then verse 16 is one, he says this, Then said he unto him, A certain man made a great supper, and bade many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, Come. Notice that's the same compelling thing that God said to Moses. Come. There's an opportunity. Come. It says, Come, for all things are now ready. And they all, with one consent, began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground. I must needs go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Now think about that. Can I tell you from a logical perspective? We see these so often, but honestly, some of the excuses, unfortunately, sound kind of palatable. One guy's saying, God, the opportunity's there, but I'm so wrapped up in my business that this isn't an opportune time, God, for me to come. This isn't an opportune time for me to respond. This isn't convenient. My business is so demanding of me. God, there's an opportunity, but I got to pass. My business is too great. One guy is saying, basically, I've got tools and toys. God, I would be involved. God, I would give more. God, I would give more ambitions. I would be involved. I might even go to the field. God, I would be more involved, but man, I've got a boat I got to work an extra job to pay for. God, I got another 4-wheeler and we're headed into hunting season. I got to have it all paid for. God, I would be involved. Father, I would be obedient, but I've got toys. I've got things that occupy my time and my attention that are a greater priority than obedience to you. Again, that's recorded in Scripture. Another one, he says, I got married. My family life. God, I would give more, but what's my wife going to think? God, I would go. God, I would go, but there's no way my husband would. He's got a business to take care of. And family becomes the ball and chain to keep us from being obedient. Simple illustration that God records of excuse after excuse. And here's what happens, folks. Look at the next verse. Look at verse, where did I stop? Look at verse 20. All these excuses that the original people that were intended to come, when they had the opportunity, they made excuses. Look at verse 21. So that servant came and showed his Lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind. And the servant said, Lord, It is done as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. See, it's an example of missed opportunities. These people had an opportunity to experience the Master and experience things that honestly they probably never dreamed. But they came up with all kinds of excuses of why they needed to be excused in the task. And they missed the opportunity that was available. Now, there's a whole lot to be said about that. I want to mention one more thing before, and this is a simple. Look in John chapter 6, I'm sorry. John chapter 6. John chapter 6. This may even be the most familiar of all of them. It's a feeding of the 5,000, but look with me if you would in verse number 5. It says this, and when Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw the great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread and that these may eat? And this he said to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, there is a lad here, which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. Then here's the statement. But what are they among so many? See, Jesus gave these men initially an opportunity. What ultimately would become one of the greatest, most recorded miracles ever. He gave them an opportunity to be involved. And initially, their response was, God, even though what the things that we have, it is not sufficient to accomplish this task. You know what keeps a lot of Christians from being involved with the Great Commission right now? Is we are convinced that it's impossible. So why bother? The task is too great, God. Are we commanded to go? Yes. Are we commanded to be involved? Yes. Are you able to reach? Sure you are. Do you have a desire to reach a world? Yes, you do. God, this is what we have. What I have is so small of a contribution. It's not going to change anything. So why would I bother? The talents that I have, the abilities that I have, the amount of money that I could give, God, it's so small. What difference could it make in the grand scheme of reaching a world? The excuse they come up with, God, yeah, we have this, but it's nowhere near what's needed. One of the greatest truths that we could ever grab onto begin to transpire through this, because Jesus took what little they did have. Moses saying, God, I don't have the abilities. That's what this guy was saying. God, what I have isn't enough to be used. God, it's not enough. Send somebody else. The lesson that we learn by reading the rest of this passage is when we will simply be obedient to offer what we have to the Master, that He's able then to take that gift offered in obedience and bless it and break it and multiply it and do miracles with it. I love this. Look at this. His response was, God, what we have is not able to meet the need. But when what they have was placed in the hand of the Master, look at the verse. Look at verse number 12. He says this, when they were filled, He said unto His disciples, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above unto them that had eaten. See, when placed into the hand of the Master, what they learned was, what little bit I have is more than enough for God to use it to accomplish the work that He wants done. Here's a simple thought that I just want to leave us with. Through obedience, the best of our lives is yet to come. And I tell you, that's true on a very literal, eternal sense. If we will place our faith and trust and believe what God said about our sin, and put our faith and trust in what Jesus did for us on Calvary, and accept Him as our Savior, then because of our obedience to come God's way, the best is, the way better, the best is yet to come. We're going to spend eternity on the streets of gold as in a joint heir with Jesus, ruling and reigning. What a day that's going to be. The best is yet to come. But friend, can I tell you this? That's true on this side of glory. If you are still breathing oxygen, there is a work that God wants you to be involved in. And He is saying, come. Come. There's an opportunity that I'm affording you to be involved, to be used, to have my hand in your life. Come. When should you do it? Right now. We're not guaranteed another breath. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. I was talking earlier, one of my mentors, a dear man that had meant a lot to me in ministry, we just found out passed away in his sleep Friday night, Saturday morning. Evangelist Joe Bryant. Some of you may know him. Friend, we're not guaranteed another day. When should we be involved and obedient? Right now. Why? Because our God is worthy. Our God is worthy. And if I am going to praise Him for all of eternity for what He did for me on Calvary, then doesn't it logically make sense that I would want to say thank you on this side of glory? Paul said it like this, and we know the verse, folks. We know it. In Romans chapter number 12, Paul's telling a body of Christians, and he's begging them. The wording that we have, he's begging these Christians. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is a reasonable service. See, when we become a sacrifice and we say, God, I don't know what you want me to do. God, I don't know where, when I go through that door, I don't know where it'll take me. But God, I know you know where it's going. I know there's nothing on either side of it that is going to surprise you. I know, God, I don't know how I could possibly give what you're tugging at my heartstrings to give. God, I don't know how it'll work. But God, I'll just be obedient. I know you know what my situation is. And God, if you tugged on my heartstrings anyway, then you're able to handle circumstances. You're able to provide. You're able to go with me. Whatever the need, God, you knew all that before you ever tugged at my heartstrings. God, I surrender. I wonder this morning, church, as you go through this week or even before, God may have been working on your heart about something. What is it that the Spirit of God has tugged at your heartstrings about? What is it? Do we need workers in the field? Yes. Matter of fact, Jesus told us we need to be praying consistently that God will send forth more laborers. We need workers. Do you guys need workers in your ministry? Yes, you do. We need workers in mine? Yes, we do. Why? Because God uses people. God, there's an opportunity for you to physically be involved. What excuses are palatable to you that still have you sitting on the sideline? None of them held water when God dealt with them. I wonder, there may be some where God has touched you about giving and giving more. Friend, again, I know these times are tough. I know economy is tanking and everything else. I know that. But friend, I also know this. God knows all that. That doesn't take God by surprise. Before God ever dealt in your heart and started tugging at your heartstrings, He knew what the economy was. He knew your job situation. He knew your bank accounts. He knew your abilities. He knew your shortness, your weaknesses. He knew your strengths. And He offered you an opportunity anyway. That means He's able to deal with all of that stuff. We just need to be willing to place us. The disciples placed loaves and fishes in Jesus' hands. What God wants from us, we need to place our bodies, what Paul said. Our bodies, a living sacrifice. Place our bodies. Lord, I don't know. I'm still alive. You obviously have a task here. There's something I can be involved with. I don't know what it is. God, here am I. I'm willing. Sign me up. I'm willing to be involved. When should you do that? Right now. Don't offer God excuses when we have an opportunity to be used like we've never seen before. Dear Father, we thank you for your word. Father, it's amazing to me how relevant, because shamefully, Satan has tempted me with every single one of these things. God, sadly to say, I've given in to him so many times. God, forgive me. God, I just ask that you would work in our hearts this morning. That God, may we be obedient vessels this morning. Whatever the Spirit of God has tugged at our heartstrings about, would we not focus on excuses, but on your goodness and who you are and your worthiness, and just say, here am I. God, thank you for the privilege it is to serve you. May we make the most of it while we have opportunities. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.